right. Thank you for joining us for today's presentation. Today we are going to talk about ransomware on the rise. We're going to talk about how to minimize the impact of a ransomware attack. A couple of quick announcements before we dive in. First off, I'm Carla Federico. I'm the Director of Marketing here at InfraScale. Would love to chat with you more. If you have any questions or comments after the presentation, please do feel free to reach out to me. And you do have access to a copy of these slides. So I'm always asked if there's going to be a copy of the slides shared. There is a handout section in the software GoToWebinar, so you can go ahead and grab a copy of those slides there. Also, we are going to be recording this presentation and posting it on our website. So you do have access to a replay video at infrascale.com/webinars. And then lastly, if you do have questions throughout the presentation, there's a question tool there. So go ahead and type those in throughout the presentation. We'll come to the Q&A at the end. And here on your screen now is a look at the agenda for today. So first, we are going to start off with a Ransomware 101, what you need to know now. It's 2017, and we have just been hearing more and more of these ransomware stories popping up. So what are the most important pieces of information for you to know? Second, how to mitigate ransomware. So we'll talk about a little bit about your business and how, whether or not you can address these issues with your clients, how you can best do that, how you can avoid some of the damages that are caused by the downtime associated with ransomware. And then third, we're going to talk about why partner with InfraScale. So just a little bit about our partner program and what partnering with InfraScale can do for you. And then finally, a little bit about DRaaS, Disaster Recovery as a Service, and our cloud backup offering as well. I'd love to hear a little bit from you, though. You can use the question tool to sort of comment and chat and participate today. So I'd love to hear from you. What type of business do you currently have? Are you an MSP? Are you a VAR? Are you an IT reseller? Where are you located? I would just like to hear a little bit about you. That will help me to customize this presentation to the audience. So you can use the question tool if you'd like to chime in, and I'd love to hear from you. But with that, while you guys do that, we'll start with the Ransomware 101. So by now, we all really know what ransomware is. A type of malicious software. It's designed to block access to a computer system until that money has been paid to the attackers. More importantly, what have we been hearing lately? So just last week, let's see the date on this one, January 17th, an article titled Madison County tried to keep a $21,000 ransomware payment private. Another headline here on the 20th of January, just 6 days ago, a new ransomware as a service attracting affiliates with free licenses. Next headline from the 24th, so just 2 days ago, ransomware app hosted in Google Play infects unsuspecting Android users. So this is what we've been hearing about ransomware, and this is why it's so important. We already know what it is by this point, but how did it get started, and how has it evolved to where it is today? Well, since computers have been in use, programmers have been able to create this malicious software. Even earlier than 1986 and 1989, back in the 70s, there was the creeper virus. So that was a really early example there of how malware can be damaging to systems. Now, if you look through 2006 to 2010, we saw the introduction of high-speed encryption, and that made it a lot easier for those hackers to encrypt more files even faster. Taking a look at 2014, 2016, we saw the rise of Bitcoin as cryptocurrency, and that's how they were able to get away with anonymously sending these malicious softwares out to infect other users, and then one user infecting an entire company. And here are a few of some important stats that we've been seeing in the last 12 months or so. In Q3 of 2016, so basically the last 3 months or so, 32,000 new malware modifications were detected. And of those ransomware infections, we know that 72% of ransomware victims were unable to access their data for 2 days. And sometimes that lasted up to 5 days, really, because once you get infected with ransomware, you then, if you decide to pay the ransom, you have to wait for that decryptor software. Now, hopefully the attackers are going to provide the decryptor software, right? And then if they do, you need to start that long process of decrypting all the files. So this is why it took so long. Now, in the first 3 months of last year, over $2 million was paid in ransom. It's estimated that in the first 3 months of 2017, that figure will be over $1 billion. And that's how fast that ransomware has been growing, really exponential growth that we've seen. And then in all of 2016, we saw 62 brand new ransomware families appearing. And each of those ransomware families has its own separate group of strains of ransomware. Now, here are some really alarming trends, and this won't sound completely new to anyone on the line here, but still nonetheless really important to pay attention to. So these alarming trends are, first off, that we know ransomware has a worldwide reach. Now, if you're based here in North America, you tend to hear only about those North American breaches and outages due to ransomware. But these trends, really what we've seen is that also businesses throughout Europe, Japan, New Zealand, and Australia, they've all been hit with these massive email spam campaigns. So they're all carrying those malicious JavaScript attachments. Most of them are claiming to be something like a FedEx or a UPS tracking notice, those types of emails, right? So they're disguised as legitimate businesses. Even here closer to home, a lot of you probably heard of last year's Amazon.com attack. So they were targeted by a massive phishing campaign. It sent out between 30 and 100 million email messages claiming to be a shopping order update. And most all of us shop on Amazon.com, so it's something that is easy to fall prey to. And then it's also targeting businesses. So in the early days of ransomware, we saw really that ransomware is targeting end users, just files and folders on a single user's machine, and then maybe charging, say, $300 to $500 for that person to get their data back. But more and more, ransomware is targeting large enterprises and businesses, costing $10,000 plus in ransom demands. Good example here, actually just close to home, since we're based in Los Angeles, the Hollywood Presbyterian Medical Center was attacked in 2016. The hospital paid $17,000. And the reason this is so important to us is that it's because of that network effect, right? So one single user it's sort of the cause for this happening throughout an entire organization. And that's where the bigger problem sets in. Yes, the ransomware then encrypts all the files on that one workstation, but it travels across your network, and it encrypts files on those network drives. So that's how one infected user can bring a whole department down, or even an entire organization. And what happens once that comes into play, once you have that ransomware attack? Well, the downtime is crippling for a business. These are some of the, essentially some of the averages of the cost of downtime. So a small organization lost about $8,000 per hour, whereas a large enterprise lost $600,000 per hour. A medium-sized business, and the average is over $200,000 an hour. Now, think, is that something that you can afford? the answer for most businesses is no, it puts them out of business. And when it comes to ransomware, it's not only the actual downtime, but it's also, in addition to these costs that we see here, it's the lost productivity. And so not only is there the time involved, the RTO or recovery time objective, the time involved with getting back up and running, but then also that lost data. So there's two factors that you're looking at. With all this in mind so far, I want to run a really quick poll. I'd love to hear from you guys. So let me just launch this poll here. When it comes to ransomware, which of these is you? So A, yes, me, myself, or one of my clients has been a victim of ransomware. B, no, we haven't experienced this type of security breach. And C, I really don't think that I'll be affected by ransomware. So we'd just love to get a little bit of feedback from you guys here. Great. And we've got 60% of you have voted so far. I'll give everyone another minute. And then meanwhile, it looks like I've got lots of comments coming through. When I asked about what industry you're in and where you're located, just to be able to get a feel for who's joined us here today. Let's see, we've got everything from East Coast to West Coast. We've got, let's see, commercial real estate. We've got a current partner on the line here. We've got a cloud solution provider for small and medium businesses. Let's see, looks like some a brokerage industry consultant, so SEC and FINRA. We will talk about some of those issues coming up in just a few minutes, some of those compliance issues, policies and procedures. I see some of those notes that you guys have made. So it looks like we have a pretty broad audience and coast to coast, which is wonderful. I'll try to touch a little bit specifically on some of those compliance issues and some of those resellers as well. All right. Great. So now with that all in mind, looks like we've got just about 70% of us have voted. Let me close that poll down and share the results. So really interesting results here. 41% said, yes, I have been a victim of ransomware or one of my clients. That's nearly half of our audience here. Would you guys like to, of course, anonymously, I won't read anyone's company name or first name. If you'd like to share that story using the question tool, we'd love to hear it. And I can anonymously share with the group what happened. How did you find out that there was a ransomware attack? What did you do when you found that out? And do you know what the cost was of being down? Did you end up paying the ransom, or did your client end up paying the ransom? So what was the cost there of either the ransom or the lost productivity and downtime? It would be really interesting to hear. And then also B, 59% said no, we haven't experienced this type of breach. And what we've seen is that, what we've heard is that 2017 will really be the year for ransomware, right? So two types of organizations out there. One is the type of organization that already has been attacked, has been breached. Second is the type of organization that has been breached but simply doesn't know it yet. So I'd also be interested to hear, do you think that you're in that group? Are you in the former or the latter? Where do you think you are there? And then no one answered C, which is great to hear, and probably a little bit more of a trick question because we're all here on a ransomware webinar and probably realize then, of course, how much of an impact this is having. All right, let me go back to the screen share. I'll close this poll down. Give me just a second to do that. And there we go. All right, so now we're back up on the screen here. We are now going to shift gears. You know, we have a good understanding of how threatening these ransomware attacks can be, and let's talk about a defense strategy. So we're going to dive into the 5-step ransomware defense strategy. Also, we have a great page here with a ransomware quiz to sort of find out if you're a soft target for ransomware or one of your clients. So it's just at infrascale.com/ransomware soft target. Include those dashes in between as well. I'll leave that there on the screen for just a second. If you guys are interested in copying that down, and of course you have a copy of this in the handouts as well. So you can download those handouts and you'll be able to access that, that page at a later time as well. So let's start by talking about some of the risk factors. Here are the sort of top 3 risk factors associated with ransomware attacks. What we've seen lately is that ransomware attacks are targeting companies, and that has increased 3-fold from January to September of 2016. And by September of 2016, ransomware was affecting 1 in every 5 businesses worldwide. So the rate of those ransomware attacks is just increasing exponentially. That rate increased for businesses from 1 every 2 minutes to 1 every 40 seconds. And for consumers, that was even worse. The rate there reached 1 attack every 10 seconds by September of last year. So that's the most recent data that we have as far as businesses and consumers, as far as the rate of ransomware attacks. Now, it does depend on your region as well. Now, ransomware attacks they're able to enable location-based targeting and geo-targeting malware. So geo-targeting ransomware is really scary as well. We've seen this come into play more and more. They're able to look you up by IP and target specific businesses, specific regions, and also specific industries. What we've seen are the top industries being targeted are healthcare, education, government, and also the financial industry. That would be the 4th on that list here. And then customer size is a really important risk factor because of the cost of that downtime, right? So how many users are there in this business? What's the business size? If there's a disruption of the entire business, that cost of downtime is going to be enormous. So that's a large risk factor to look at as well, is the size of the business. Now let's take a look at that 5-step defense strategy, right? So first is to simply train your end users. We know that ransomware infections come in through links and attachments and emails. They can also come from compromised websites and, like that story that I shared in the beginning, web apps, and now mobile apps as well. So that one headline that I read for you guys a few minutes ago, ransomware app hosted in Google Play infects unsuspecting Android users. So really it's just a matter of time as we start to see it more and more in mobile apps as well. You want to train those end users how to, first off, recognize those phishing attacks and recognize those suspicious links. And then you also want to test their knowledge. So test your users with simulated phishing attacks to really ensure that they've been properly conditioned to resist those attacks, right? And then second is monitor the network. So you always want to be processing potential threats. Keep operating systems updated, keep the software updated with all the latest patches, because we know that unpatched vulnerabilities in operating systems and software are a really, really common entry point for malware. So that's the number 2 strategy, is just keep attention there of monitoring the network. 3 is going to be antivirus. So you want to make sure, of course, that you're using an industry-leading antivirus software. That can help enable auto updates, auto protect, and personal firewall features as well. So it's sort of a way of having protection in the background that's sort of continually updated. Now, antivirus is going to try to, of course, stop things from getting in, but once it's already in, we're going to, of course, next talk about how to mitigate the damages and how to really your best defense against that ransomware once it's already in. But you definitely want to have antivirus protection to stop things from coming. All right, number 4, suspicious email attachments. So you really want to look at installing some advanced email spam filtering. One option is a company called FishMe, for example. And InfraScale, we are going to have a joint webinar with FishMe in just a few weeks here. So if you'd like to be invited to that webcast as well to really dive into some of the specifics, just go ahead and type your email address into the questions tool, and I'll send you an invite out with a registration link for that presentation as well. So we're going to be diving into a lot of the details with emails in specific and how to avoid those phishing emails and those attachments there. All right, number 5 is to maintain a robust backup and disaster recovery solution. So, of course, you have the antivirus in place, right, before to try to stop things from coming in. But once you have implemented a backup strategy that fully supports multiple data types, files and folders, servers, both physical and virtual, and mobile devices as well, then that's what I mean by having a complete system. And you really need that robust enterprise-grade BDR, backup and disaster recovery, to preserve complete version history, and that is really, really important. A lot of solutions out there will maybe maintain about 2 weeks or a month's worth of data, and then you really need something that has that forever archiving component built in. So you need that complete version history, because we know that ransomware can take several weeks or maybe a month to fully get into systems. So until you actually get that ransom demand, it's already started working on those older files, and it started it started encrypting those files that you haven't touched or modified in several weeks or months. So one more poll that I have for you guys. When it comes to BDR, which of these is you? So this is essentially trying to sort of find out, with that number 5 there in the 5-step process we just talked about, does anyone have a robust backup and disaster system in place right now? Can you recover, from a production database in 15 minutes or less? A, we can confidently restore to a previous backup within 15 minutes. B, I really want to offer backup and disaster recovery, but I just can't afford it, or maybe other reasons there. It's just not the right time for me to invest in this right now, or maybe it's something that you're looking to invest in 2017 and just sort of looking for the right solution. C is, I still don't think that I'll be affected by ransomware. And so far, nobody has answered C. Right now, we're split between A and B. We've got about 50% of you have voted, so I'll give everyone another moment to chime in. All right, and we've got 55% of you have voted so far. Okay, and I'll give everyone just another moment here to answer that poll. In the meantime, it looks like we have some great comments coming through here. The last question that I asked was if anyone had been infected by ransomware. One response came through here, and of course I'll keep it anonymous. The response here says, we just got lucky, randomly checking the server and noticed some strange activity with PDF files. Called my vendor, and they feared crypto locker attack. was able to isolate the impacted computer. I spent just a couple of hours restoring files from our cloud backup. Thank goodness, great investment. And so would you like to share who are you using for cloud backup? Just curious to hear from that as well. And then I see lots of emails coming through who wanted to be invited to that next webinar, so we'll be sure to get you guys invited there. And let me go ahead and close this pull down now and share the results so we can dive back in. All right, so when it comes to BDR, which of these is you? A, we can confidently restore to previous backup within 15 minutes. We have 77% of you answered A. Can you confidently restore back within 5 minutes or within just a few seconds? Really curious to hear for those of you who could do that. And then B, want to offer backup and disaster recovery but can't afford it, 23% there. We'll chat more about that here coming up. And then C, nobody answered C, which again is great because I kind of put that in there as a trick question. We're all here on a ransomware webinar. So let's dive back in to the presentation here. Let me hide those results. And let's talk a bit now to shift gears about about some of the best practices, and then we'll talk about working with InfraScale. All right, just got that screen share back up there. So you guys should be seeing that now. Great. All right, wonderful. Okay, so now we're going to switch gears a little bit to talk about really some of the best practices with recovering from ransomware, and we're going to talk about anomaly detection as well. So anomaly detection is a really cool new feature. I don't know of any other BDR solutions out there that offer it, so we'll get to that in just a moment. So first off, protection for all devices. So a lot of us think that, you know, maybe I need some cloud back, like in the case that we just saw, I need cloud backup for maybe my laptop, or I need to have backup for my the mission critical data, headquarters, and they don't really necessarily think about some of those remote workers, some of those road warriors, some of the branch offices, and then all the mobile devices out there as well. Think of how many of us do work on maybe just a laptop, a tablet, or a smartphone even. So the rise of BYOD really made it extremely critical to protect every single device out there. So not just those servers, physical and virtual servers need to be taken into account, but that's not it. You also need to think about mobile devices, all the tablets and smartphones out there, and desktops and laptops as well, so all of your workstations. Now, in addition to that, you need protection for mixed environments. It's not just Windows, but Linux, Unix, and many other operating systems out there. You want a solution that can support everything. So you don't want to be left with support for just Windows when you know that there could be a more robust solution available. And then when it comes to hosting, as far as your cloud, our cloud, or any cloud, we do support private clouds if you have your own infrastructure, third-party clouds as well, AWS if you're using Amazon Web Services, Windows Azure, and most recently, InfraScale announced the partnership with the Google Cloud Platform. So that as well is some really great information. Those of you who put your email address in who wanted to be invited to the next webinar, I'll send you some more information as well on that launch that just happened and some of the really interesting things that are happening with the Google Cloud Platform. So just some more helpful info there. All right, when it comes to partnering with InfraScale now, I just wanted to introduce our partner program. We have a extremely different partner program from most solutions out there, and of course here drastically different because of DRaaS, or Disaster Recovery as a Service, that we're going to talk about in just a minute here. Now the important thing to really note with partnering with InfraScale is we provide a lot of assistance to our partners, not just in the actual product that we're able to offer and that you can add into your offering, but also with real leads and real co-marketing. So we have a dedicated channel marketing director, and our team is really aimed at and focused at helping our partners succeed, helping with co-marketing and MDF funds, and really providing real leads to our partners. With that in mind, I want to sort of lead into some of the additional points to our partner program. So what we've seen and what we've heard from Gartner is that Gartner expects worldwide cloud DR revenue to increase and grow at a compound annual growth rate of 55% through 2018. And our mission really with this knowledge is to completely eradicate downtime and data loss. So that's where DRaaS comes into play. And our partners, our current channel partners, are really motivated by some of the numbers here. They're making 30% margins, and they're seeing a 45% reduction in the hours spent on managing data protection. So if you just think of how much time your team spends on that in a month, and if you could cut that down by almost half, then you'd have that critical time back in order to focus on other priorities, right? Now, we have a partner tiered system where all of our partners are receiving technical support, sales support, implementation support. We have a partner resource center so that all of our partners have access to knowledge and templates and training and videos there. So that's a really great partner resource center, PRC we like to call it. We have a great KB knowledge base, and we have an awesome customer referral program as well. Our onboarding program is really simple for partners, just having that sort of initial planning call, and then we walk you through all that training. We have a marketing kickoff because we want to help with essentially partner success. We want to make sure that you have those leads coming in and that you're completely trained and ready to go. And that's all the way from that kickoff to first deployment. So here's a quick snapshot of those programs. The technical training, sales training, and then we really get those marketing programs off the ground running as quickly as possible. It's very low effort for our partners and low to no cost because we do offer MDF funds as well. Now, taking a look at those MDF funds, I did mention our Partner Resource Center just now, so we have that available to partners. We do lots of co-marketing events as far as physical and virtual events, lots of training programs, and our MDF program is extremely simple. Simply submitting an MDF proposal, we review them on a regular basis, and we just allocate those funds accordingly. We did about 14 of those programs last quarter. That was actually Q4 of 2016, and we're ramping that up. For 2017, we're about doubling. So it'd be a really great time to be getting involved and getting access to that as well. So again, we're completely committed to partner success. We're 100% channel focused. We do bring any of those essentially end user deals that come in through InfraScale. We essentially bring them to the 10-yard line, and then we'll match them up with one of our partners in that geographic area for you. We have that implementation success team, and we have world-class customer care. Our support team's available 24/7, that's 365 days a year, so they're always available and ready to assist. Okay, so a little bit more then about how our product actually works, just to give you a good feel for what we do. InfraScale guarantees system failover from any disaster in 15 minutes or less at a fraction of the cost. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you compare this with the big guys out there, the best that IBM will guarantee you is 2 hours. And they charge 5 times as much as we do. So we're a far better service at a much better price point. And this is our disaster recovery as a service offering, right? We can bring back your entire network, hundreds of computers in 15 minutes or less, guaranteed. Let's take a look at how this works. So this situation is just sort of a great way to see what it is that we do in action. So here are some end users just working away as normal and about to experience a ransomware attack or any type of outage. Could be hardware failure, human error, and so you see those red X's there represent when everything goes down. Servers, applications can't access their data. So with just a few clicks of a button within the InfraScale dashboard, with this on-demand failover, you can simply log in from any browser, roll back to a previous date, and instantly recover a clean version of the entire environment. And that way everyone keeps working. And that whole process happens in just 15 minutes, guaranteed. And then as far as the specifics, so this matrix shows everything that we do and what we can support. The columns essentially are different devices that we protect, and then the rows are use cases. So we back up and recover iPhones, Androids, desktops, and laptops across Windows and Mac. We have DR as a service, or push-button failover, that comes into play. And we support physical and virtual servers on Windows, Unix, Linux, and virtual servers on VMware and Hyper-V. So that's the broadest support footprint that you'll find in the industry. We can support your cloud, our cloud, or any cloud. So you can use one of InfraScale's 15 global data centers, or you can use your own private cloud if you have your own infrastructure. And then those third-party clouds, like I mentioned a minute ago, Amazon Web Services, Azure, and then Google Cloud as well. Now, here's a quick snapshot of the InfraScale dashboard, and that's where I mentioned I was going to also bring up anomaly detection, which is really cool. So through the InfraScale dashboard, it's a unified management console where you can log in from any desktop, any tablet, or any smartphone. All you need is a browser access. And so from here, you can view activity alerts, you can access reporting and monitoring, you can control remote deployments, manage retention settings, and this is where you can also enable your anomaly detection settings is within our dashboard. Now, anomaly detection is essentially a ransomware detection alert that we put into place. If there's an unusually large number of modified files that you're backing up, we're going to send you an alert so you have that knowledge immediately upon any type of infection, right? We can't actually sit with all of your end users and make sure that they don't click into one of those phishing emails, right? We're not able to actually do that, but what we are able to do is alert you immediately when there is a large number of changed files. That way, we're lessening the damage and lessening the exposure due to any ransomware attack. You won't have to pay any ridiculously large ransoms, and you can very quickly roll back to one of those clean versions and just continue working as usual, like we saw in that last diagram there. A quick note on security and data privacy and encryption. So this is very, very important to us. We take security very seriously. And rather than other solutions maybe sending raw files to the cloud, we essentially use this military-grade double-blind encryption system. So encryption locally, in transit, and at rest. That's truly the only way to ensure that data is secure. And we enable regulatory compliance as well. So this grade of security really allows us to enable compliance with HIPAA, SSAE 16, Sarbanes-Oxley, CGIS, PCI, SEC, FINRA, many other regulations as well. We sign business associate agreements, and these data centers that we use, our data is encrypted at 256-bit AES locally. It's sent over an SSL, and then it's encrypted again at 256-bit AES. So all of our data centers are Tier 3 and Tier 4 military-grade data centers. And if you want to take the security a step further as well, with UltraSafe Max, you can do that. So not only do you define the password, but you also define the encryption key itself. So we allow you to do that as well. Here are just a few of InfraScale by the numbers. We were founded in 2011. We're headquartered in Los Angeles. We currently have 900 partners worldwide, protecting 1 million devices and counting. That number is always growing. We've got 15 global data centers, and throughout those data centers, we're protecting over 100 petabytes of data. And you don't have to take our word for it. You see that Gartner named us a visionary in their Disaster Recovery as a Service Magic Quadrant for 2016. The year before that, they also named us a cool vendor in business continuity and disaster recovery. CRN also named us one of the coolest cloud storage vendors for 2016. And then you see PC Mag as well, 6-time winner of the Editor's Choice Award and 4 of 4 stars from the Wall Street Journal as well. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. This map actually shows a great picture of each red dot here being a business that we protect. So this is showing all the businesses that we protect throughout about 130 different countries. Oh, I completely just lied to you. It's 170. We're actually active in 172 different countries. More than 50,000 businesses being protected through those 900 partners that we have. So we really are a global firm in terms of scale. And then a quick look at the Gartner Magic Quadrant here. Our approach is really getting a lot of attention, which you can tell here because leading analyst firm Gartner, I just mentioned, they gave us a couple of awards here in 2015 and 2016. But this is great to see where you sort of look at the quadrant. You can see some of the other companies there as well. An easy way to break it down, really from the bottom to the top, is essentially the size of your company, your ability to execute. Left to right is the completeness of vision. And you can see that InfraScale was at the very top of that visionary quadrant in the red box here, which is great. All right, I've covered a lot of information, and I feel like I've been talking very quickly, so I apologize for that, but a lot of great info to get through here. And I do want to run one more quick poll for you guys. So I'm going to launch one more poll here, asking, would you like to learn more about backup and disaster recovery from InfraScale? And simply asking, answering A, yes, I'd like to learn more about the partner program and DRAS. B, yes, I'd like some educational BDR or ransomware info. That would be really helpful. And C, no, not yet, maybe later. So I do have a lot of great ransomware resources that I would like to share with you guys. It looks like so far we have about 50% of you have voted, and quite a few of you have answered B. So we do have lots of great info that I could share. Use the question tool, please, if you don't mind doing me that favor. And let me know if you have some specific questions or inquiries, or what specifically you'd like more information about. Now, I'm happy to send all of you all of the resources that I have access to, of course. But if there is something in particular that you really want to hear, or that you're really interested in and would like to inquire about, just let me know in that question tool. Okay, and 60% of you have voted so far. I'll give everyone just another moment there to answer, and then I'll close that poll down as well. So if you wanted to participate, go ahead and reach forward. Awesome. All right, let me go ahead and close this poll down and share the results. Right now we've got 23% yes, I'd like to learn more about the partner program and DRAS. And then 54% yes, educational BDR or ransomware info would be helpful. For those of you who answered C, no, not yet, maybe later, I'd definitely appreciate some feedback as well if you type into the question tool, and I will keep it anonymous, but I do always appreciate having any type of feedback. Was there anything that you wanted to hear on this webinar that you haven't heard yet? Or were there any questions or comments from the webinar so far? So great. Let me go ahead and hide those results. Also would love to hear from you guys on a follow-up webinar. What else would you like to hear? That would be really great information as well, so I can do follow-up webinars with you guys on that. And the next steps here, we are going to dive into the Q&A next, so make sure to get those questions in. We do have a surprise for the person who asks the most relevant and on-topic questions. So we have a little sort of giveaway. And if you would like to test it out for yourself, we know how threatening ransomware can be, but we also know that a DRAS solution is your best defense from any threat. I'd like to offer you 60 days free of our cloud-based backup, and all you need to do to take advantage of that is use the question tool and type in 60 days free, and I'll go ahead and get you guys set up with that. Wonderful. So I'll give everyone one more moment. If you'd like to type in 60 days free, go ahead and do so, and then we're going to dive into the Q&A. So I'm going to jump over to the Q&A here. I'm just scrolling up to the very top so that we can start sort of from the top, moving our way down. Okay, great. All right, one question says, can I get a copy of the presentation? So yes, you can grab a copy of the presentation in the handouts. So if you just, within the software, scroll over to the handout section, you'll see there it says InfraScale Ransomware Webinar, and you can download that PDF right there, and I promise it's not infected with any ransomware. So go ahead and download the slides there. I see lots of 60 days free. Okay, great. Yes, all right. So first question says, can you give a quick overview of the pricing model? You didn't share cost. Okay, great question. So pricing starts at just a few $100s if you're using cloud storage. Our appliances range from just a couple of terabytes up to hundreds of terabytes. We have a 1U through up to a 9U unit. So that's if you have physical environments. If you have VMware only, then it can scale to 200 plus terabytes protected. So it really just depends on how much data you have. The pricing is simply based on the number of terabytes of data. A follow-up to that question says, what changes regarding cost if a cloud backup server needs to be spun up? Are there costs associated with spinning up in the cloud? So this is all included in the pricing. It's simply by the amount of data protected, so not the number of recoveries, not the number of test recoveries, not the amount of support or training, none of that. It's simply by the amount of data protected. There are also no overage costs if the limits are met. So if you go over capacity, your data is not suddenly not backed up. If you go over capacity, we'll contact you and let you know that you need more space. But also you're going to be receiving warnings as you get close to capacity. So we never leave you hanging without your scheduled backups. All of your data is still protected. Next question says, do I need professional services for installation and setup? Again, no, you don't need to pay any additional fees or services for professional services and fees. That's all included completely. We have senior sales engineers on our team who are ready to work with your team and get everything set up and get all your policies in place exactly as you want them, and make sure that you can test them and have them running as expected, so that in the event of any disaster, the recovery is there working for you as needed. We have orchestration policies that you can set up and put in place so that everything is ready to go. Next question says, can you really support 100 different operating systems? Yep, we sure do. We support all versions of Windows, all versions of Linux, Unix. We support OpenServer, Novell NetWare, Solaris, HPUX, AIX. We also have bare metal bootable for Windows and Linux. So we have, again, the largest breadth of support available today. All right, for VMs, can you only get the most recent or can you go back to checkpoints? So you can go back to any point in time that you have backed up, and you set your backup and retention policies. So that's fully under your control. Next question says, do you leverage data dedupe? What sort of dedupe efficiency do you get? That is a great question. We have up to a 90% dedupe rate. It, of course, just depends on the type of data and type of files. But we have a really powerful dedupe technology built in. And so you're able to, I mean, what types of files do you have? It really, again, you can let me know what types of data do you have. It really just depends on what you have there to protect. Next question says, next question is about bandwidth. Let's see. Does internet bandwidth at corporate site affect recovery time? Does it affect the site where users will complain that web access is very slow? Okay, so as far as bandwidth, so the minimum bandwidth requirement is about a 1 megabit connection. And in general, it depends on your deployment, but generally with most of our customers, because you're buffering on the appliance, the amount of dedicated bandwidth that you need to the cloud is far, far less than you would assume. I also just mentioned that dedupe rate on VMs as well, so we have that built in. Our appliance allows you to throttle based off of speed, so you can set the speed and the specific time frames. And because you have those throttling capabilities, you can trickle the data as well if need be. So your bandwidth doesn't really matter when it comes down to it. You have the local data stored on the appliance. You can push up to the cloud on your schedule. You can front load it at night and then just a little bit at a time, or you can also seed if you need that initial push up to the cloud. And then a follow-up question says, does the appliance throttle bandwidth usage during production times? So we do have a powerful bandwidth shaping tool, so you can decide how much bandwidth it should use at different times. Great. What's your support like? So our support, we offer 24/7 support. That's 365 days a year. Also, our support is US-based. Half of our support team is here in Los Angeles. The other half is in Salt Lake City. We offer email, live chat, ticketing. We have a knowledge base, and we have a phone line with a 1-hour SLA, regardless of time, day or night. Can you replicate to multiple cloud services? Yes, we support Amazon, Azure, and then Google Cloud and InfraScale's own cloud service as well. Our data centers, we have 15 global points of presence. We have 12 throughout the US and the UK. I'm sorry, 12 throughout the US and Canada, excuse me. We have the UK, Australia, South Africa, South America. Let's see if I missed any there. So that's about 16 or so right there. And then our data centers are all Tier 3 and Tier 4. So we have biometric credential requirements, redundant cooling systems, et cetera, et cetera. They're all military-grade systems there. Next question says, can I send initial backups to you guys via tape for import? Yes, you can. We offer seeding. Do I pay for raw data, which is backed up, or the dedupe data? As far as detailed payment plans and pricing, I can definitely have someone reach out to you from our sales team with details on that to really evaluate your company and how much data you have and what you would need. And then a question about the 15-minute guarantee. Yes, we do offer a 15-minute recovery guarantee. Another question here about support, which, so just someone else asking another question saying, what's the hardware and solution support like? So I did just answer another question about support. If you have further questions to that, then just let me know. let's see, do we buy direct from you or have to go through a reseller? We are 100% channel focused, so we will essentially work with you with any needs that you have. But up to the point of sale, we really do have you work with one of our resellers. We do offer, we have resellers coast to coast and also global, as we showed on a map. Just recently, we have 900 partners worldwide. Let's see here, what other questions coming through? Are you SOX and HIPAA compliant? So yes, we are. So we offer, someone earlier brought up SEC and FINRA compliance. Yes, we are also SOX and HIPAA compliant, as well as CGIS, Sarbanes-Oxley, PCI, Safe Harbor, many other regulations as well. We sign business associate agreements. We definitely do take security very seriously. So really, whether you work with InfraScale or not, if you're subject to any regulatory frameworks, you need to make sure that the vendor you choose has compliance built in. So that's very, very important, regardless of who you choose to work with. Okay, next question. Is there a setting to allow high priority backups versus lesser valued data if your space is limited? So yes, you do have the ability to set the priority based on the age and the value of your data. We also have cloud spillover technology built right in. So if you have a local appliance and that fills up, it will automatically start spilling data over to the cloud, all based on the policies that you set. That's how you can have the last hardware appliance that you'd ever need, simply one box, and it can spill over data intelligently over to the cloud. You also have a cloud-only option. We always do recommend that DRaaS option for full mixed environments, and for those physical and virtual servers, as well as the desktops, laptops, and then mobile devices. That takes into consideration everything. We also do have the direct-to-cloud only for mobile if you prefer. And then next question says, is InfraScale an agent-based backup, or does it communicate with the hypervisor? Do I have to install agents on devices and servers? So for agent-based or agentless, we do support both. What we recommend is that within the data center, you use the agentless approach and connect directly to the hypervisor. But for things like maybe a Unix server or Linux running on Metal, we have agents there. Good, okay. Next question says, where can I find training material on how to use the solution and best practices? So that training would come directly from our sales engineers and our implementation success team. And so I'm happy to put you in touch with them as well. If you already are using the solution and you're simply looking for some best practices, we also have those videos in our Partner Resource Center. So you simply log into the dashboard, scroll down towards the bottom, there's a link that says Partner Resource Center, and then in there you can see all of the resources available to you. Looks like we have just one more minute here. Let's see if I can answer any other questions. Do your solutions integrate with RMMs and PSAs like ConnectWise or Kaseya? Yes, we do. Where is the customer portal available? It's available from any browser. It can be accessed by any computer, any tablet, or any smartphone. If you have something, someone call you in the middle of the night saying servers crashed, you can simply grab your tablet or smartphone off the bedstand, log into the browser, a couple clicks, and then you're good to go, and you can simply just go back to bed. So back in the old days, you'd have to get up out of bed, change your clothes, drive to the data center, start recovering from backups. You know, if you're on tape or something along those lines, then that's likely what you'd need to do, but this is a far easier, faster solution. All right, we have one or two more questions coming through. We are right at the hour here. I do want to be cognizant of everyone's time and be respectful of your time. Last question that said, can I get more information about the Kaseya support? Yes, I'll make sure to get that out to you. So I wanted to thank you guys for your time here and for being here. I really appreciate that. We have a couple more questions that have come through, but I'm not able to get through all of them just now. I will follow up with you via email if you have any questions that came through just in the last few minutes here. I did mention as well that get all of your questions and comments in. I do have a small prize for the person who asked the most relevant questions. And I will follow up with you via email. I did mention I'd leave everyone's information anonymous, so I will reach out to you via email. Last name is Walters. I'll leave the first name out. I will be reaching out to you. You have won a pair of movie tickets at an AMC theater, as well as popcorn and soda, so enjoy that. Maybe you can go see the new one of the new flicks that have come out recently in 2017. And everyone, thank you for your time here today, and we very much look forward to working with you in the future. Have a great day. Thanks.